What if I told you that one of the most dangerous prisons in Texas, Telford, hides secrets most people would never believe? Brutal attacks, underground gangs, and shocking conspiracies. But what's really going on behind these walls? Today, we dive into the shocking story of Officer Timothy Davidson, a rookie who became the victim of a brutal attack in just his first year on the job. Was it just a random act of violence, or is there something more lurking beneath the surface? Stay with me as we uncover the hidden truths of Telford, secrets that could change everything you think you know about prison life. If you're ready for the truth, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and share, because what comes next will leave you questioning everything. Telford Unit, one of the most notorious and dangerous prisons in Texas, is a place where untold stories are waiting to be revealed. Located in New Boston, Texas, this prison opened its doors in 1995 and quickly became a symbol of violence and crime within the state's correctional system. With over 100 serious assaults recorded in just the last 3 years, Telford ranks as one of the highest in terms of violence within the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, TDCJ. Despite being equipped with a tight security system, from surveillance to strict preventive measures, violence still occurs frequently, ranging from murders to violent altercations between inmates. This raises a big question. How does a prison, supposedly designed to be secure, continue to experience such severe violence? The answer may lie within the very system itself, a system that seems incapable of controlling its own chaos. On the morning of July 15, 2015, Officer Timothy Davidson, a young and inexperienced corrections officer, was doing his routine duties at Telford Unit, one of Texas's most notorious high-security prisons. Little did he know that day would change everything. Billy Joel Tracy, an inmate with a violent criminal history, would make his move. But why did Tracy, already serving a life sentence, choose this moment to strike? As Davidson escorted Tracy through the prison, Tracy saw an opportunity. In a split second, he managed to slip his cuffs, a rare vulnerability in such a heavily secured environment. What happened next wasn't just impulsive violence, it was a carefully planned attack. Tracy, with years of experience in the prison system, knew exactly what he was doing. He slammed Davidson's head into a metal door frame and threw his lifeless body down the stairs, killing him almost immediately. But what drove Tracy to commit such a brutal act? Was it a moment of rage, or was something more hidden beneath the surface? Tracy's actions weren't simply about anger or frustration. This wasn't a random act of violence. This was desperation. His goal wasn't just to hurt someone, it was to break free. Why would an inmate with nothing to lose resort to this level of violence? What was so powerful that it pushed him to such extremes? Billy Joel Tracy was no ordinary inmate. He had spent years cycling in and out of the prison system, a man whose criminal history was marked by violent acts, escapes, and assaults on prison staff. But what stood out most was his lack of hope. How much can a person take before they decide it's easier to break the system than to stay within it? Tracy had been sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole, and for him, the prison wasn't just a physical cage. It was a mental prison too. His entire identity had been swallowed by the system. When a person is given no future, no way out, no hope of change, how does that affect their mind? Tracy's behavior escalated in the weeks leading up to the attack. Prison, as we know, can become a pressure cooker, especially for those who have been institutionalized for so long. Could this environment be pushing Tracy to a breaking point? The frustration of life in prison, the oppressive atmosphere, and the hopelessness Tracy felt likely pushed him to believe that violence was the only way out. And when the moment came, Tracy didn't hesitate to act. When Tracy attacked Davidson, it wasn't just about rage, it was about freedom. The violence, as brutal as it was part of a desperate plan to escape. Tracy had been in the system long enough to understand its flaws and weaknesses. In that moment, he didn't see a prison guard. He saw his ticket to freedom. When he slipped his cuffs, it wasn't just an accident, it was an opportunity, and he took it. So was Tracy's act of violence really just an emotional outburst? Or was it something far more strategic? Could he have been calculating his escape from the start? The brutality of the attack wasn't just about inflicting pain. It was part of his final push for freedom. Tracy was willing to risk everything, including his life, in this violent bid to break free from a system he felt had completely trapped him. Tracy's actions weren't just about his immediate anger. They were a culmination of years of psychological damage caused by life in prison. For inmates like Tracy, the prison system becomes a breeding ground for desensitization to violence. How long does it take before the mind breaks under such pressure? Tracy had been in the system for so long, and in that time, he had learned that violence was his only means of survival. Over the years, his sense of identity became tied to his ability to assert dominance through aggression. Prison is not just a physical space, it's a mental cage. The longer a person spends there, the more their sense of self can break down. Tracy wasn't just fighting for freedom, he was fighting to reclaim his humanity, to take back control over a life that had been systematically stripped from him. Could it be that, in a place like Telford, survival depends on becoming numb to the very violence that defines it? In Tracy's case, the attack wasn't just a crime, it was a crisis of identity. Prison strips away individuality, reducing inmates to numbers, prisoners without a name or face. How do you maintain your sense of self when the world around you refuses to see you as anything other than a criminal? For Tracy, violence became his tool of power. It was the one thing in a world that had taken everything from him that he could still control. By attacking Davidson, Tracy wasn't just trying to escape a physical cell. He was attempting to reclaim his identity in a world that had erased it. But what about the system Tracy was trapped in? His attack wasn't just about personal frustration. It's a reflection of the deeper, systemic issues within the prison itself. Telford isn't just known for its violence. It's also notorious for its underworld of corruption and illegal activity. Who really controls the prison? Is it the guards and staff, or do the prison gangs hold more power behind the scenes? Inside Telford, the lines between law and crime blur, and Tracy's violent outburst is only a small piece of the larger puzzle of how a system designed to control becomes the very thing that traps and corrupts. Reports from the Texas Tribune have shown that corruption among guards is a constant problem, with prison staff involved in smuggling drugs, weapons, and communication devices into the facility. Could Tracy's actions have been a symptom of a prison system in decline, where even the staff that should be protecting the inmates are complicit in the chaos? While high-profile inmates like Tracy grab attention, many others remain unknown, but just as dangerous. Christopher Worley, another inmate, was convicted of murder, but was also linked to criminal organizations outside of the prison. What are the untold stories of lesser-known prisoners whose connections to the outside world remain hidden? How many inmates are playing key roles in criminal networks that stretch far beyond the prison walls? So is Telford just another high-security facility filled with dangerous criminals? Or is it a center of organized crime that even the authorities are struggling to control? What else is hidden within those walls that no one is willing to talk about? Tracy's attack wasn't just a personal act of violence. It was a reflection of a broken system. His violence was the product of desperation, of years spent in an environment that crushed his spirit and took away his hope. The prison system, meant to rehabilitate and correct, had instead become a place of torment and decay, a place where inmates like Tracy are pushed to the breaking point. Could Tracy's actions have been prevented if the system offered more than just punishment? Or was his attack simply the inevitable outcome of a system that doesn't rehabilitate, but instead creates more despair and destruction? The attack on Officer Davidson was a wake-up call, not just for the staff at Telford, but for the entire prison system. It's not just about violent inmates, it's about what the system is doing to those it's meant to correct. The hidden world of Telford and prisons like it is more than just about what happens behind bars. It's about what happens to people when they are forgotten, dehumanized, and pushed too far. There are still many dark secrets in Telford that we haven't uncovered. Are the violent incidents just the tip of the iceberg? Or is there a larger conspiracy playing out in the shadows of this prison? We'll continue to take you on a journey into the untold truths. And if you feel that pull to keep searching, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a step in our journey to uncover what still hides on this earth. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.